Welcome to the S.J. Child Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show.
Hi, and thanks for joining the S.J. Child Show today. I am here with, now I'm not going to say your first name right. My last name's phonetic, and I can't connect things like that. So it's so nice to have you here.
It's great to be here. I'm so glad we get to start off laughing. That's a good way to start anything, I think.
That's the truth. I love that you said that. Isn't that a beautiful thing to have for yourself to share with other people, especially to share with your families, things like that? Tell us a little bit about yourself, introduction, and what brought you here today.
Well, I was trying to think of what's the most efficient way to introduce myself because, like you, I wear many hats. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a writer, and a whole bunch of other things. But I think, just for purposes of our conversation, I'll tell you a little bit about how I became a writer. It was a very roundabout journey. I knew when I was a little kid that my passion was writing, and that's what I wanted to do. But like any practical child, you realize you can't just jump in feet first and start writing books or whatever it is that you're passionate about. For me, I wanted to go to college and figure out exactly where I could position myself. And as it turned out, I went to law school to realize maybe I don't become a writer straight away, but I work on my professional writing skills and legal skills. And I got the wonderful opportunity to be a speechwriter for many years at a company called Deloitte. And I had an amazing person that I got to support. Even though he was completely unlike me, I got to figure out how to speak in his voice. And over the years, I think having that experience really helped me understand how to write for other people's voices. And then eventually I got to write in my own voice with the two books that I have published, Hurricamp and Miscommunicamp, which are both hopefully funny adolescent series, but they are designed to make you laugh, designed to make you think, and hopefully designed to see the things that you have in common with these characters and, see yourself in different bits and pieces of them. And I think all of those years that I spent imagining what I would do if I became a writer, and then ultimately I got to the place that I'm so fortunate to be. It's really just kind of an amazing dream come true. To sound a little cliche.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I have the same experiences, almost like the same experiences. So totally wanted to be a writer as a child. Also wanted to be a reporter.
Oh, interesting. Well, how about that?
Isn't that crazy how things transpire for you and manifest into ways that you want them? And it's so true. And then just, later in life, I was a paralegal, and I love what you said about practicing your writing that way, because that improved so much in my communication with everything in my life. It was that understanding that legal writing and having to, really research and dig deep into how to present things in ways that people hadn't thought of, or that's what I like to do, at least. So it's I love that you said that. That is fascinating that way. And then to be able to finally come full circle and write your own experiences. And that is such a powerful journey to be on. And there's a lot of introspect. Tell us about that. What was that like for you in that process?
Well, I think, for me, and probably like a lot of writers, you take elements from your own life or people that are close to you, and you sort of marinate in the experiences, the feelings, the emotions, the senses, what you see, what you hear, what you smell. And, that all, as I develop characters and as I think about a plot line, what is going to appeal to readers. I think back to my younger self and what I would have enjoyed to read about. And, just thinking about your audience, and I'll go back to being a speechwriter. Like I got to see firsthand, like telling stories is a super powerful tool, and seeing what resonates with people, and when they laugh at the right times, when they clap, it's super rewarding. And so as I write, I think about how would an audience digest what I'm saying? What's the message I'm trying to get across? What do I want to communicate? And I think just keeping those senses open in your daily life, I don't know if this answers the question exactly, but having experiences in life that you can relate and put on paper, the more powerful your message will be. And so, for me, all those years ago, when I said I wanted to be a writer, it was 8.5 at the time. And while I thought I was quite worldly, I had a lot of living to do in between that and when I got to sit down and actually write. So for me, it's just being like someone who can absorb their world and then reflect back, the distilled elements to really create a powerful message, a powerful story, and, something that people enjoy reading and for me, laughing at, because I am one of those big proponents of finding humor in just about everything where it makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about a practical thing for our listeners. Your mom, your wife, there's housework, there's other work.
Mm-hmm.
How do you tell us kind of what your day looks like when you're going to write? How do you set that time up for yourself?
I think first and foremost, you have to sort of visualize how you want your day to go. So, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but there's a load of laundry in the dryer right now. And and under other circumstances, I would be like folding it or just starting the dishwasher. But you have to really think about, okay, I'm going to sit down at my desk. I'm going to be productive. I want to accomplish whether it's, a certain number of words, a certain number of pages, a chapter. I think just keeping in your mind, I need to be productive. I want to accomplish whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a humongous goal. Like if you don't have enough time to, spend hours at your desk, then for the next 2 hours, I want to really be focused. And I think just giving yourself that creative mindset, some people like to journal or write to get warmed up. I've done that too. There's a book that I read called The Artist's Way that was really helpful in getting you focused on the garbage out first, whatever, thoughts are going into your head and distracting you from what you really want to be writing about. And then once you get to sit down with if it's a blank page, it's a blank page, or if it's already started, just continuing the process and building upon what you've done. And for me, I'm a compulsive editor. So as soon as I finish something, I want to go back and fix it. And you can get very stuck in fixing. And so sometimes, it's just good to get everything out and give yourself a little bit of a break and then go back at a later time and see where it could really be improved and where you got something really good down on paper.
I love that you said that because I am a serial proofreader.
Mm-hmm.
And I was when I worked for a employment attorney and
Mm-hmm.
had to read Intel's employment handbooks.
Oh, wow.
Those were fun to read. So enjoying reading kind of took a turn after that.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
I was
right.
just proofreading everything. I was just talking to someone about that. That's hilarious to have this conversation. And it's been 20 years since that even happened. So it's hilarious. But it is so, words are so powerful and they have storytelling is so powerful. And I think that we're in everyone doing a disservice when we don't tell our stories because it literally could relate to someone. The smallest things can help bring community and bring this togetherness for people.
Absolutely.
What have you found has been like the audience or feedback that you've received from the books?
Well, I'm very fortunate that my children are right around the age of my target audience, which I'd say is 8 to 12-year-olds. They happen to be boys, but, I think the messages that I write about are fairly common adolescent experiences. And one of the best pieces of feedback that I got was quite secondhand. One of my son's classmates read my book over the summer and did a book report about it. And she came into the class and she said, "This is the best book I've ever read." Now, my son was in this class and they heard about what the book was about. They saw the author's name on the cover and they said, "Hey, isn't that your mom's book?" And he says, "Oh, yeah, it was." And then he forgot to tell me about it when he came home. So I heard from a different parent that this book was used as a book report. But I was like, that would have been the best, piece of feedback that I could ever receive about my book, that someone said it was the best book they ever read. And my son forgot to tell me, but I don't hold it against him because a lot goes on in the classes during the day, and lunch is exciting and recess is exciting, but just hearing about people enjoying my work, and it is, I think, to a great extent relatable. And as you were saying earlier, it's finding those commonalities in life, the things that make us similar in our experiences, in our views, in our thoughts, especially in adolescence, I think is such a great superpower for kids to have. It's knowing that you're not alone, knowing that your thoughts and your feelings are important, and that other people oftentimes have those same thoughts and feelings. And, reading it in a book where, in my books, I try and make it positive in the end. So things work out nicely. It's not always the case in life, but having that sort of trajectory where something goes up, something goes down in the book, and then all ends well. It's a nice way to sort of give children and grown-up readers as well just a good feeling that there are others out there in the world like you. And I'm a big proponent of finding commonality, and that's how we connect as humans. And that doesn't stop once you finish middle school. It doesn't stop when you finish high school. It continues on throughout your life. So that's always the search of creating connections in life, and I hope to do that with my work.
I love that. Would you say there are any mentors, writers that you love, that you looked up to in your life, and what kind of that maybe led you to come to these decisions?
There are so many influences that I'd like to say I borrowed from as a child. I really loved the quirky characters that Beverly Cleary wrote. Judy Blume, one of my all-time favorites, spoke in such relatable voices that you felt like you knew the characters. The Penderwicks, which is just a really timeless story. It could take place at any time. And then I also have to refer to my mom, who is not an author. She's a retired teacher, but she really taught me the value of learning to read and love reading. And as she read to me when I was a child, she read in these amazing character voices, which I adopted when I read to my kids when they were little. And it's just such a great way to help bring characters to life. And so, the more people can read out loud to their kids, the better. I think we make future readers, future writers, because it really helped me sort of understand at a really early age that powerful narrative that can come from a well-written book, but a well-read, as in read out loud, it really makes all the difference. And, I love literature so much. I mean, I could go on and on about different authors that I love to read, but I don't want to take up the whole show with that.
No, I'm really glad, because those are some of my favorite readers when I was growing up as well. And I, excuse me, really loved James Patterson later when I got into, adolescence.
Yeah.
Really wanted that thrill of reading and everything. But I don't know why. I think that job. My experiences from then on. But I love Audible. I love to listen to books now, and that's another thing. And I think that probably you as a writer and just as a reader in general can appreciate that. I love that there's accessibility in so many different formats these days as well.
Yeah.
Is your book, tell us about the formats that you have available.
So far, I have just the hard copy and then electronic copy. Someday, I think I would love to do an Audible, like where you could do it's not books on tape, but where you could listen to it wherever you are. That's a future goal to have, because again, like you said, hearing a book is really different than reading it yourself. And there are all different types of readers. Some people can put on an audiobook and they're walking wherever they have to walk, or they're in the car, or, doing laundry. And they get to listen to a whole book that way. I mean, that's awesome. For me, like, I like to sit and turn the pages and see the words and just absorb all the stuff that's on the pages and read a book that way. But now I've gotten to the point where I'll do it on a Kindle. So I have like really large font because I'm getting older. So like it's 3 words per page and then I have to turn the page.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, it's great. The accessibility factor has made it easier for readers everywhere around the world, accessibility to reading for those who don't have it. And, it's exciting. I always loved early childhood education. And so do you remember the Your Baby Can Read program commercials? I bought that.
Yeah.
I bought that.
Oh, wow.
And I actually used that on my first, my biological child. Mm-hmm. And he was reading at 1 and writing at 2. He was non-speaking until 4. Mm-hmm. So we used the communication that he had learned. Like, I would have never known that he would have been profoundly autistic and couldn't speak. Mm-hmm. Like, I just thought it was exciting to do the Your Baby Could Read program. Like, I was a 30-year-old mom. I was, I wanted the education. Yeah. And wow, did it make a huge difference. And not only in just obviously for reading, but that we were able to communicate. And that was so big. If that wouldn't have been a piece, I can't imagine how far behind or where we'd be at today, and not being able to have that type of communication. It's so powerful. Yeah. Right. Reading and words, and just, it's all so powerful that way. What are some, like you had said, you use journaling. What are some other kind of tools you might use to get yourself ready for writing? Like brainstorm bubbles, those kind of things. What do you do? Hand to paper.
Yeah. For me, I am an outliner. I don't know if there's like an outliner with like 5 exclamation points. Like, I am an organizer. I am a scheduler. I am really type A, I think. So perhaps it's my law school training. I don't know. But before I sit down to write a book, I have like a humongous thing that I put together. Like, it's called the snowflake method, where you start with like an idea and then you keep building on it and keep building on it. And then you talk about the characters and their story arc. And so I have like pages on pages of notes, and eventually I have to say, this is enough. I have a solid story. I know what like the subplots are going to be. I know how the book is going to end. And now I just sort of need to fill in all the details. And I'm in the process of working on my 3rd book, and I've reached the point where I think I've outlined almost as much as I can possibly outline. And it's time to take the plunge and start writing. But that's the scary part. I'll be honest. Like, you can do all the prep work you want, but you have to really, like, in my mind, I have to really be ready to say, all right, for the next however many weeks it's going to take me, and hopefully it's not years, but I've learned on my 2nd book, I could, if I'm really focused, I can do it in like 2.5 months with some childcare and life, interruptions.
Yes.
But it's really getting yourself psyched to write. And that's the scary part, because, once you've done all the prep work, it's now time to execute. And, and that's a lot. That's perhaps more work than the outlining. I don't know. I'm still going back and forth as to which is more work, whether you think about the story a lot before, or whether you sit and write the story. And then you and I are both going to go back and rewrite the story 4 times over before we're comfortable that it's in a good place and ready to take that next step. So a lot of outlining, I guess, is the short summary of what I just said.
I love that, though. I love that you shared that with us, because I think that gives everyone good ideas to draw from. If they don't do something like that, then they're like, okay, maybe that will be a great way for me to start something new. And like you said, the hardest part is the start. So starting and getting it in there. I remember getting ready to do the first podcast, and it was like the scariest thing ever. Yeah. And then, I had to get used to hearing my voice, and then I was like, oh, it's cringy. And now I'm like, is that Sarah playing on the podcast?
You have a great voice.
Beautiful.
You have an awesome voice. Mine's twangy, but yours is good.
You're great. No, I love it. I love how we can come together like this. And podcasting has just been just life-changing, like beautiful experience for me, excuse me, my family, I'm sure for all my listeners. And we're in like season 12, episode 290 something right now. So
wow, that's fantastic.
A lot of knowledge on. And I think that in every single conversation, there's always something that I have learned from them, can integrate into my own life to make it easier, like organization and writing lists. Like I know they work, but doing them, right? That's another story.
That's true. I have lists for my lists.
I love it. That's what I need to do. I need to remind myself with a list to look at the list. I love that. I'm going to be better tomorrow. So this is great. So so you kind of answered that you're working on your next book. What's next? Or do you do like book signings, and what's that look like?
For me, I kind of do a little bit of everything. You never know what's going to resonate and what's going to stick. And so I love doing podcasts, like speaking with people like you, because how else would I come to know you? Or we live in different places, and it's very efficient to, go across the country from my home office to your home office to your office. And so I've gone to some schools and met with students, and that is really fun. I'll admit, though, the first one that I did at a school, I was so nervous, and I was like really just overwrought with stress and anxiety of how it's going to go. And I had this presentation that I thought would be fun, but you never know with kids. And when I got there, I felt like I was a celebrity because they were just so enthusiastic, and they'd read my book, and they had all these questions about the characters. And then some really funny questions that the kids asked me. One that I remember in particular was, do you know J.K. Rowling? And, I didn't know how to answer that.
In the same circle.
I wasn't sure, like, what was she getting at? But I then really quickly understood that was her favorite author. And, I desperately wished that I had met her. So that I could say, yes, we're very good friends. And I gave her some ideas, but she was doing her own thing. But I try and meet as many people as I can. Maybe I'll meet J.K. Rowling. I don't know. We'll see. But
that's where SJ, that was my, why I wanted to go with S.J. Childs, was kind of a play on that.
Oh, interesting.
So, I thought, well, if J.K. can do it, so
that's right. And it rhymes too, so you've got a definite.
And the child is just a play on words for children's book, because it's a children's book genre that I write in. So that has nothing to do with the podcast, but hey, we just
see. But you got to share some really fun facts. So when somebody's on, the 500th episode of your podcast, you can. Do you remember in episode 290 something where I told you how I got my name? What's the answer? And I will be the only one that knows as a guest.
I love it. Well, it's so much fun. This is such a great medium to be able to experience. And it's been just wonderful getting to know you too. And I'm excited for what you have to. So you're working on book number 3. Is there a timeline? My husband always says timeline, accountability.
That's right. That which is measured gets done. My goal is to start writing. I think I'm giving myself like a few more weeks just to work on my outline a little bit more. And then I'm going to have to cut myself off and say it's time to get to work. So my goal is to start writing before the end of the year and then be in a really good spot by spring. Good. So that's the goal. Fingers crossed. But as you know, life always happens. So we'll see. But now that I've said it, I've committed myself to doing it. So in a way, right? I'm glad I've put it out there, and you got to manifest it to the world. So here it goes out there.
Yay! Do you have book number 1 and book number 2 next to you by any chance so you could show us?
I do.
Yay!
I wasn't prepared, but I was prepared.
Yay! I love it, right?
Let's see.
I love that.
So Hurricamp and Miscommunicamp. Miscommunicamp just came out this spring, and Hurricamp came out a couple of years ago. So,
and how can we find them? Where does everybody need to go to find them?
You can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Noble, you can go to any major online book retailer, and you can see on my website, www.stefkatsovi.com. There's a link to all these different retailers as well. And I'll put in a plug for my blog, because that's one other form of writing that I use to get energized about not only my outlining, but also just getting ready for my next book. So,
yay! Is that right?
It's KATZOVI.
Oh, okay. See, me and my.
You're typing as you're speaking, though, so that's a hard thing to do. Multitasking.
Here we go. Okay, there we go. I see what I did. I was multitasking, which is my favorite dangerous thing to do. That is correct now.
That's it.
Oh, .com. Holy moly. See, I think there was a laugh too.
It's like a treasure hunt. You'll find me somewhere.
Exactly.
That's it.
I have to say, just Google me. Just Google me.
Yeah. Sometimes the basketball player Steph Curry comes up when you go Google my name, but that's great company to be in, by the way.
I love that. There's an English writer named Sarah Bradford with an H, with I never would need an extra letter. So don't need that. But I always see what comes up when I Google so I always have to do Sarah Bradford, S.J. Childs.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, yeah. Otherwise I'm just gonna have to keep plugging away. And
that's right, exactly. Soon you'll get your name up in the algorithm.
Exactly. Well, it has been so much fun talking to you today, and the books look wonderful, and I really am so excited for all the readers to have the experiences that are provided through those. So thank you for doing that, for the readers and for yourself. Congratulations on having fulfilled that and making your dreams come true.
Well, thank you so much. And may we all continue to have our dreams come true in whatever form they take.
Isn't that the truth? I love that. Well, I look forward to staying in touch, and let us know when book number 3 comes out, and we can do another little catch up with you.
Sounds great. I look forward to it.
Great. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.